Welcome to mid-October 2024 Fallon, Nevada housing market updates. We'll focus just on the stick-built residential homes on this report. There is going to be some new construction underway here soon in Fallon. It hasn't gone public just yet, but it's getting close, and that's going to have a big effect on the market as well. So keep an eye on that as it gets underway. There's a lot of active duty transfers happening right now on the base. So there's a lot of folks moving to Fallon. We get calls time and time again from folks out of the area with active orders moving to the area, and they're buying. They're buying. They believe they're going to be here long enough or want to invest in real estate. They're not just staying and renting and leaving or staying on the base. They are buying real estate in Fallon. We're doing it quite a bit. And it's exciting to see that activity with the expansion of the base and so forth. So jumping over to median sales price right now, it says 350 as median sales price, but use caution in that. Look at the graph overall. Really, properties are selling in kind of the low 400 you saw last year. It was 405. See kind of how that volatility is back and forth. If you put a line in the middle there, it's bouncing right around the low 400s. That's what I'm going to say with confidence for stick-built homes. Let's call it high 300s, low 400s is realistic ranges. Now, a lot of the homes are in the threes. And make no mistake there. A lot of the ones over by the canals are in the 300s still, which is great. Really, really helpful for the veterans buyers taking advantage of the VA loans. But of course, all other buyers in the area as well with their loan programs. It's just really nice because it's just so much more affordable to live in Fallon than the other areas of our market. Overall, you can see the trend line is creeping up a little bit. A lot of it's inflation related. No big, huge market spikes, which is nice because it creates predictability in the market. So buyers aren't wondering what's going to happen next. It's pretty predictable on what's going to happen if you buy real estate in Fallon. And if you're thinking about selling, it's pretty obvious that there's not big change in the market. So when you're building a game plan to sell, it's very predictable. You can wait a few weeks. Pricing's about the same. The only thing that can change is keep an eye on the interest rate markets. They have been going up a little bit. That does mess with affordability and could have a little bit of a softening effect on the market. We're not sure just yet because pendings have been pretty active overall, but keep an eye on that interest rate market because it is not following the Federal Reserve news. So be careful on that. We had adjustments about 2 months ago in the mortgage markets. Rates went back up a little bit, still lower than earlier than this year. And earlier this year was still very active as we went to spring season. So about the same overall for 2024, but it's not like mortgage rates have gone down the way people are wanting them to. They're still holding around the sixes right now. Jumping over to closed units. So 5 last week, about 5 same time last year. Bouncing into volatility anywhere between about 5 to 10 homes. Let's call it 2 to 10 homes are selling week over week in Fallon. Pretty typical for the population size. If you notice in Dayton, it's about the same as well. If you watch the Dayton report, pretty typical week over week. Now, that is still backlogged. There are more buyers that want to buy in Fallon, but depending on how they saved and so forth and what kind of veterans program they have, it's not like we're going to be seeing 25 homes a week sell in Fallon anytime soon. You can plan on about 2 to 10 a week is very realistic for the Fallon market. And you can see the overall week is steady. It's been that way for a very long time. We don't expect any changes anytime soon. Pending units. So we saw a little bump up from this time last year. The market did pick up a little bit from a transaction standpoint right about the beginning of the new year, and actually was on an increasing scale from October forward, which a lot of times we see slowdown with seasonality in the Northern Nevada market. Not the case for Fallon. It's been picking up. It's on the left-hand side. It picked up there. And then it's been holding pretty steady. A couple of off weeks, upwards of 10, sometimes down to 2 and 1. But if you look really from about January, it really hasn't moved that much. There's not an upward trajectory. It's just kind of back and forth on a level trajectory. So we can say about 5 to 10 homes. Conservatively, 3 to 10 homes, very, very similar than as the closings. Not really much movement, but also no slowdown right now. So we're not really seeing a slowdown in seasonality. The market's moving just the same as it really has all summer. 5-ish or so homes every single week going under contract. Median days to contract. So this week, don't take into consideration the market is not moving in 6 days. You can see overall, I would say it's probably right around the 30 mark, give or take. Let's call it 28 to 35 days is pretty typical. You can see a couple of them are upwards of 2 months, but the there's not really big trend lines in median days on market. So this weekly data can sometimes get a little confusing because it's just so all over the place. But if you kind of draw a standard line in the middle, it's about 30 days, give or take, on what you can expect for homes to go under contract. I know one that I listed, that's about what it took, about 4 weeks or so, 4 to 5 weeks to find an acceptable buyer. So you can plan on about a month that it takes to find a buyer and have a seller accept an offer from that buyer. Active inventory, even though pendings are holding steady, which means buyer behavior is steady, seller behavior is starting to turn different. Less homes are hitting the marketplace, so properties are getting absorbed faster, which is making overall inventory go down. Now, that can really help sellers. You can see the lowest point last year was actually March of this year. And you can see it was even higher this time last year. We're down about 20% in inventory in Fallon, but also that makes sense because a lot more buyers are going there with the more activity with the base and so forth. So that makes sense to me. And if sellers aren't selling, then it's going to get absorbed faster. So we're actually getting down to the bottom of this year, some of the least selection we've had in the overall year. If you're a seller, take this into consideration. You have low competition right now, which is pretty neat. You can see how it gets that the market did pick up and peaked out to right around August, but now we're on a sharp decline of selection of homes. Last year, take a look at the other way. It peaked out kind of right around, November, December, then started dropping and then increased again in March. Right now, we've dropped early. It started dropping in August, and we're getting near the low point of this year already, and it's only October. So how low will it go? Who knows? I mean, we're on a trajectory right now that it could drop below the lowest point in the last year for selection of homes. Makes sense. There's a lot of veterans, a lot of active duty folks moving in to the area right now. Call it population growth, call it what you wish, but there's a lot of folks moving into town. They're very active right now. They will be so long as the snows aren't here. And that's a nice time to be a seller, is to have less competition. So take that into consideration. If you are thinking about selling in the next 6 months, might want to consider moving up that timeline, because right now you do have less competition. There's less for buyers to choose from. And when there's less selection, that can usually help a seller. New homes hitting the market, less than are being absorbed. So that's why you're seeing the active inventory go down. Right now, about 5 to 10 homes a week go under contract, close, but only 2 to 4 homes a week are hitting the market. So that's going to make overall inventory go down. So this is the reason we're seeing selection drop, is we'd have to be in the 5 to 10 a week mark to match what's getting absorbed by buyers. Not the case. So we're going to see that inventory go down. So this is what really nice to think about as a buyer is, gosh, if you sell the market, you're 25% of the new homes that hit the market. That's how little of homes are hitting the marketplace and buyers are buying right now. So keep that in mind. I know it's a little weird selling during the holidays, but honestly, we have great success with it because there's less competition. Only serious buyers are out in the marketplace. We find great success. And of course, we juggle it around the snows and the holidays to make it easy for sellers. So think about that. If you are thinking about selling sometime next year, take a look at this market, because right now inventory is down and that's a nice place to be as a seller. Takeaways for mid-October in Fallon: seasonality is kicking in from an overall inventory standpoint. Buyer seasonality hasn't changed. It's holding steady and has been for the whole year on the way that they're behaving and buying. But sellers are entering the market at a slower pace than what's being absorbed. So we are going to start seeing selection go down. So if you're a seller thinking about getting in the market, consider moving up that timeline. There's less selection in the marketplace, which makes it nice for a seller. For the latest insight, tips, and market updates for the Northern Nevada real estate market, be sure to hit subscribe. We'll do weekly updates to keep you informed of what's the latest. Also, be sure to explore our Northern Nevada house search.